Hey everyone, it's me, the Chewbacca, Scott here to discuss Star Wars, starring Mark Hamill, Harrison Ford, Carrie Fisher, Peter Cushing, and Alec Guinness, directed by George Lucas. Now, as you can tell with the shirt on, I am the biggest Star Wars fan that... I'm one of the fans, I will admit it right now. And to be honest, I remember watching this movie as a kid a lot because of my grandfather. May he rest in peace. And I remember that I was loving this movie as a kid a lot, and I watched it a lot of times as a little kid. Even I fantasized being in this universe. And I remember that they came out with the special editions in 1997, 20 years after this movie came out in 1977. And I thought the special editions... I'll talk about it, but I'm really looking forward to The Last Jedi, and I got my tickets for it that Thursday night when it comes out on the 14th. I'm really excited for that movie. And before you guys go anywhere about what was that about with the roar, here's what it's about. Wait, where are you? That's what that was. So let's get into this movie, shall we? The John Williams score throughout this movie is beyond fantastic. And it's the perfect score for this movie. The Rebel ship is being attacked by the Empire ship, and we're being introduced to C-3PO, played by Anthony Daniels, and R2-D2, played by Kenny Baker. And they're the perfect sidekicks. I've heard Kenny Baker and Anthony Daniels really hate each other in real life. I'm not gonna lie to you, I really heard that. We get introduced to Darth Vader, and I love this villain as a mystery until the prequels ruined that mystery. Well, let's not talk about that right now, but his iconic voice is not this... The iconic score in... His iconic score that sounds like this, da 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 da, is not in this movie. That's in next week's movie. And I love James Earl Jones, and I've heard David Prowse's version, and it sounds terrible. Even though David Prowse is the costumed Darth Vader, but the voice for sure is James Earl Jones, and that is a perfect way as Darth Vader in my opinion. Princess Leia, played by Carrie Fisher, was an awesome damsel in distress turned into a badass, and she's great in this role, but it's sad that Carrie Fisher is dead now. May she rest in peace. The Jawas are a bunch of fun creatures, and I think they're cute and super funny, and they collect droids so they can sell them to Luke and his Uncle Owen, or anybody for that matter in the galaxy. The special edition added more scenes that add more CGI on the scene where the stormtroopers find a piece of droid, and the creatures they ride on looks bad. But the theatrical edition doesn't show those creatures, and that's much better in my mind. Luke Skywalker, played by Mark Hamill, is introduced as a whiner, and that scene where he says, "Well, I want to pick up some Toshi Station to pick up some power converters," when, like, he whines too much in this movie, but well, we'll get to him in the other ones. That scene when R5-D4 blows up and Luke and his Uncle Owen instead adopts R2-D2, and I've seen spoof versions of that scene, and it's hysterical, but it was a whiny introduction of Luke. I like the message Luke sees a clip that says, "Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi, you're my only hope," is a great scene, and R2-D2 refuses to tell Luke because that message is for Obi-Wan and Obi-Wan only. Luke looks at the sunsets is a great way to find out he'll eventually go on an adventure. It was a classic moment showing Luke there is hope for an adventure. Luke gets attacked by a creature called Sand People, and something scares them away. And who scares them away? And who is it? Alec Guinness as Obi-Wan Kenobi. the wise old man, and he's a legendary character and is a good idol of Luke. We get introduced to the coolest weapon ever called a lightsaber. And what that is a sword that is made of light and can dodge bullets or space bullets and brings it back to the enemy. And the Jedi Knights were the only ones who were allowed to carry that weapon. And without touching anyone, pulls or pushes people around. And that's a great trick. That's called the Force, in case anybody wasn't aware of what I was talking about. When I get to the prequels, it will be all ruined by Lucas himself. When Darth Vader chokes a man in a meeting and says to him, "I find your lack of faith disturbing," and shows what a fearful badass Darth Vader is, and I love that to death. Luke sees Uncle Owen and Aunt Peru dead and turned into skeletons. It was a very sad scene, and you can feel how sad Luke is, and we're sad for him. And I love that he goes on this adventure on his own. Believe me, I really love that. Another special edition sequence occurs when they get to the town, and they were adding more crap to distract you while you're into the movie. And honestly, doesn't George Lucas realize that framing of this crappy sequence is not what makes this movie good? I love when we see the different creatures in the bar, and one of them is a Wookiee named Chewbacca, or Chewie for short. And I love Chewie, by the way. He's so funny. And I also love the pigmen playing the flutes. Like, I always thought of them as Porky Pigs, even Porky Pig lookalikes when I was a kid. Han Solo, played by Harrison Ford, is an adventurous rogue with the heart of gold, and he's the best character throughout the movie. He's probably my favorite. When I was little, it was always Luke. But now, as an adult, I'm always thinking Han. I hate the special edition version when Greedo shoots first, when the truth is, Han shot first, damn it! The theatrical version is much better than the special edition, and they also added a scene with Han Solo talking with Jabba the Hutt, and the CGI in that scene, especially when Han Solo steps on him, and Boba Fett was in the background, looked like it was really bad. I love the Millennium Falcon as a ship, because it screams classic Star Wars, and it does nothing to embarrass itself. And I hope it's never ruined by the prequels. I'm gonna put it out there now. Princess Leia says the rebel base is in Tatooine, and the Death Star is a space station that can destroy any planet, like a full-size planet, and is a cool toy and a cool space station. Sneaking around and dressed as stormtroopers, Han and Luke go saving Leia, and while that happens, Han and Luke shoot at the cameras and windows in the space station, and Chewie is just standing around. Was really funny. But the funniest part was Leia leads them to the garbage disposal, and Chewie just roars. Was just brilliant, like the one that I just did earlier in the show. After the garbage disposal scene, Chewie runs out, and Han shoots at nothing, and Han tells Chewie to come over here. And Chewie nods his head like, no. Was really funny. And the best comedic part, Han kicks Chewie right in the ass to get in the garbage disposal. I busted up laughing. Like, really, super hard. Same goes to Han chasing the stormtroopers, and suddenly he stops and sees an entire army of them, and shoots one and lands backwards. Was just brilliant. I was laughing so hard. The lightsaber fight between Obi-Wan and Darth Vader was an awesome fight sequence, and Obi-Wan dies going to Jedi heaven was a powerful emotional moment of the movie. I love the Millennium Falcon getting some action with Han and Luke versus the enemy fighters. Was an awesome and spectacular battle too. Luke and Han and Leia get to the rebel base and return the plans to destroy the Death Star, and I love the way the characters of Luke and Han's friendship. At first they don't really like each other, and Han saves Luke's ass by the end of the movie. It's really cool. The final fight of the destruction of the Death Star was intense and spectacular. Like, I was on the edge of my seat when whether R2-D2 was repairable or not after Darth Vader shot him. The Death Star is destroyed by Luke, and the Force in hearing Obi-Wan's voice is a great way to show this movie has faith. The ceremony where Luke and Han getting metal gold neck trophies, and the score here is an awesome piece of score. And that was the perfect way to end the movie. Oh, John Williams, you never can go wrong with Star Wars, in my opinion. Alright, time for the rating. I'll give this movie a 10 out of 10. Very first, and it's because it's my favorite series of all time, and it's very much my favorite movie of all time. I love this movie by heart to death, and the effects were really nice to watch as a kid and as an adult. Unforgettable characters, and you get to know the characters in the movie throughout this original trilogy, and maybe the new trilogy we'll have to see when we get to The Force Awakens, but I definitely love this movie to death. It's my favorite one, and I'd like to thank you guys for joining me for Star Wars, and next week I will be back with The Empire Strikes Back, and until next time, may the Force be with you.